Hey guys, today I have a tier list for you all, and it's going to showcase the 4 new characters and how they rank relative to one another and how they rank in general. Usually I don't do tier lists because I think they are pretty stupid, but I think today it'd be pretty fun as a way for me to just kind of visualize and explain to you all on how I view each character, what's strong about each character, just kind of to have a general discussion about each character and to talk about each character in the scope of a competitive sense. I do play Deadlock competitively. I am on the team Melee Creeps. We have faced off against several of the top teams, and we are contenders for that top spot as well. We just faced off of Hydra Nation in the first strike tournament yesterday, going 1-2. If you're also interested in my credentials and like where I come from and what authority I have to speak on this, I have like a turn of 6 on like 2 or 3 accounts. I'm a turn of 6 in EU. I'm like 100 plus ping, turn of 6 in NA, other randoms at turn of 1-2 accounts, etc, etc. So just letting you guys know like my background, because I know there's probably a bunch of new players coming into Deadlock. But yeah, so let's get right into it. So starting off in our tier list, we have Vyper, and Vyper is probably the strongest out of all the 4 characters that were released in this patch. So she's like S tier. If anything, she's like God tier above S tier. And there's a few reasons for this. So if we look at the character stats for Vyper, we can see that her DPS is the highest out of all the characters. This obviously doesn't tell the full story. Her DPS is that high because if you look at her weapon has a fall off range starting at 13 meters, which is actually really short. I think this is like one of the shortest fall off ranges. I think Abrams is shorter probably, but her fall off range is very short. And you can see here it says close range. So as Vyper, you got to be pretty close to your enemies when you're shooting. So that is the downside, but that really isn't a problem for Vyper, because Vyper has all these different things to like help her just murder people up close. Like, so my build here, if I can find it, let's see. So my build here, it includes a lot of items that allow you to get close to the enemy and just like negate any kind of threat you're in. So stuff like Bow of Lifesteal with Healing Booster. You have stuff like Escalating Resilience. You can build Unstoppable. You can build Colossus. You can build, you know, all these different items, Metal Skin, Debuff Remover, in order to make you like safe at a close distance and a close range. You're also so mobile when you're sliding, right? So being close to your enemies is not really a downside to Vyper. So her base damage is just insanely high and insanely overtuned. It does way too much damage. The second reason why I think she is so strong is because of her Lethal Venom. Her Lethal Venom is probably one of the strongest laning abilities in all of Deadlock, in my opinion. The fact that you can deal up to, you know, 200, if you level it up to 1 point here, 240 damage at level 1 with Vyper is insane in the laning phase. It allows a lot of, you know, and probably some of the videos you'll see of me playing Vyper, I like freeze the wave when I'm about to hit my level 2, and I just kind of go all in when I have my 1 point Lethal Venom. The scaling is also ridiculous on Lethal Venom. If you buy something like Ammo Scab, you're getting X3 scaling with your Spirit on max Venom damage, which is just like broken. Like this ability here is just broken in the laning phase, and it also scales very well into the late game because your bullets, right, at max level for Lethal Venom, build up Lethal Venom, so you don't even need to like cast it on the target. You just shoot them and it applies. And I mean, there's so many other things of Vyper as well. I mean, her movement speed scales off of Spirit, just like 7, which is just like unnecessary. Like, she's already so strong as she is. She doesn't really need that. Her Petrifying Bola allows her to have really good mid-boss control, which is especially important and competitive. You can see at the max level, Petrified Duration, or sorry, plus 1 second of Petrified Duration, petrifies all enemies in the area. So with the Bola, what it usually is you throw it, and it has to direct hit from the Be Petrified. But if you upgrade it, it's an AoE, right? So that provides hella utility in like competitive Deadlock and esports scene and whatnot. And also, I mean, her Screwjob Dagger, or Screwjab Dagger, whatever you want to call it, there's nothing really special with this, but this is such an easy way to proc QSR. QSR is so important for this character, keeping your intensifying magazine stacks up. And when you upgrade it by 1 level, it's like a 6-second cooldown, which is insane. This is the ability you want for QSR. Like, this ability is made for QSR. So this character is just like the best gun character in the game, in my opinion. It doesn't even stand close to like Haze or Wraith or Infernus or any of these characters. The Petrifying Bola has so much utility, so much ways to like beat players in a 1v1. If you Petrifying Bola like Infernus, for example, when he's ulting with his whatever you want to call it, explosion ability. I don't even know what it's called. That's just an easy counter. You Petrifying Bullet when he does that, and you win the 1v1. Haze ults, you Petrifying Bullet. Wraith ults, you Bola. While Winchy ults, right? There's just so many different ways you can use Petrifying Bola in order to win 1v1s in the side lane. So she's just overtuned. She needs a nerf. And yeah, so she's definitely the #1 character release so far. So the next character in this tier list is Holiday, and I'm putting her at S, right alongside Vyper. The reason I think Holiday is S tier is there's a bunch of reasons for it, as like there was with Vyper. So one of the first reasons is her base bullet damage is extremely high. I remember when Gun Kelvin was a big thing in Deadlock, and there was a bunch of builds for it. People were abusing the fact that he had a really high base bullet damage, and were doing a lot of crazy things with it. I assume the same thing will happen with Holiday. People will probably abuse the fact that this character has extremely high base bullet damage. The second thing is I think she is a little difficult to play, so maybe the S tier is a bit misleading. You might think she's like A or B, but I think put in the right hands, she's definitely like S. And I don't even think she's really even that. It doesn't even require that much skill, in my opinion, to reach her like S tier capabilities. So another reason why I think she's S tier in the current state of Deadlock is because, similar to Paradox, Paradox is so strong because of her swap. Holiday has a pretty similar ability, if not better than Paradox swap. There's some weird interactions going on with the lasso and rescue beam, where the rescue beam cancels the lasso. But given that is fixed in the future or is a bug, I think she's definitely where she's at. So the Spear Lasso, what it essentially does is you throw it from a range at the enemy, just kind of like Paradox Swap. And the range is not as far as Paradox Swap, but the fact that you can like carry the enemy like a considerable amount of distance and use like the bounce pad in order to carry them even further is just insane to me. I think you also have a lot of like team fighting power with the powder keg and the bounce pad. The bounce pad is a huge utility tool for competitive if you and your team need to take high ground. Similar to that one character in Apex where I forgot her name, where she has that levitation device to get on the high ground. I think bounce pad could be used in literally the same exact way. If you and your team like are looking to take mid boss height, like at the very top of mid boss, and you don't have an easy way to get up there, you can like draft the Holiday in order to get up there, or just use the Holiday if you have one to just take that mid boss height. I also think her crack shot is just extremely overtuned. When I've been playing Holiday and when I've been hearing what people have been saying when they've been playing Holiday on my team, just this crack shot ability, it feels impossible to lane against these Holiday players if they know how to aim their headshots and hit their headshots, because the damage this does is just insane. And obviously if you build things like Headhunter, right, Sharpshooter, I guess could be pretty good. Like all these different kind of items, I don't even know like what Holiday build here is good, but there's just so many. And like the fact that crack shot, also the damage scales from things like ammo scav, the spirit from ammo scav, and just spirit in general. Like this is going to be dealing a shit ton of damage early game. So she has a really good early game. She has a really good mid and late game utility through Spirit Lasso. She has utility to take height advantage, which is extremely important in Deadlock, and something that I don't think a lot of people are doing yet through Bounce Pad. And, you know, the high skill ceiling powder kegs that just deal an insane amount of damage as well. And, like, once you get this powder keg level 2, look at that. 246 explosive damage. That's just absolutely insane. So, Holiday is pretty good. Pretty overtuned character. I don't think she's broken in the same way as Vyper is. But I kind of like comparing Holiday to Paradox in a way. It's like a different kind of Paradox, which I think is cool. The next character we have on our tier list is Calico, and I love Calico. I think her character design is pretty cool, but unfortunately for me, she's going in the B tier. I don't think B tier is a bad tier. I think she's like solid. She's probably one of the most solid characters released in this patch. Like she's probably the least broken. I don't think that's a bad thing. There's a lot of characters in Deadlock, like just in general, that aren't broken. So the thing with Calico is there's nothing about Calico on her release that just screams broken to me. The only thing that might scream broken to me is her leaping slash, and that's it. I think her Return the Shadows is a pretty strong ability. This could be the broken ability. I mean, it's a 50-second cooldown when you have it upgraded to level 1, and you can reset all of your cooldowns with it at max level. So maybe this is the broken ability that Valve intended to be, but her Gloom Bombs, it doesn't seem that good. Pretty low damage, 80 damage, and the multiple hits take 50% damage. It's also pretty hard to aim, like extremely hard to aim. I feel like you have to be pretty close for us to hit. Ava's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty unique ability, but this just doesn't scream broken to me. I mean, it could be pretty annoying to get ganked by Calico with Ava. Guess we gotta kind of see how, you know, this ability works out in competitive and just in solo queue. The leaping slash, it kind of reminds me of Viscous Puddle Punch. The fact that it scales with light melee damage and it never scales with heavy melee damage, unlike Viscous's Puddle Punch at max level, when it turns into a heavy melee, kind of makes it problematic. But I mean, she's gonna be pretty strong early game given this ability because she can build items like, you know, Spirit Strike. What else is here? Melee Lifesteal, etc., to get that, you know, early game light melee damage or just melee damage in general. It's also pretty hard to aim this ability. It's not like Shiv Dash from what I've seen. You kind of gotta aim it at the enemy. If you go a little over, you know, it'll miss. So that's something to be aware of. I think the most broken thing about this character, though, is probably Return to Shadows. I definitely want to try experimenting Return to Shadow builds with Calico. The cooldown at 50 seconds, like this just being a 50-second cooldown is absolutely insane to me. And I think with improved cooldown, you can get even shorter. Let's see, you can get it to be 34 seconds, which is insane. I mean, you could have this back up in a team fight, you know, if it lasts for this long. So this ability is probably going to be what we're going to see being focused on in most Calico builds with like an improved cooldown item or something like that. But yeah, so probably most solid character so far. Nothing too extremely broken about Calico. She might receive some nerfs as time goes on, but this character to me isn't broken. It's just solid. The final character we have is the Magician. I'm not calling him that Magnificent Sinclair as it's just so much. I'm going to put him in the A tier. For competitive, if I had to put him in a tier list for competitive, it is right here in between Vyper and Holiday. But for regular Deadlock, we're putting him in the A tier. The reason that the Magnificent Sinclair is going in the A tier is because I think he is a little more broken and a little more OP than Calico, but not as broken and not as OP as Vyper and Holiday, right? There's a few reasons why this character is like, okay, let me preface it as this. There's a few reasons as to why Vyper and Holiday are extremely broken. There's not a few reasons why this character is extremely broken. I think this character is broken for a one-dimensional reason. It's because of the Rabbit Hex and the Vexing Bolt one-shot combo. That's really all that this character has going for him in regards to OP. Sure, we can call that copying ultimates is broken, but we have to consider the range of this. The range of this is quite short, right? So it's not like you can, you know, in League of Legends, a Silo Assault, I could Silo Assault this guy, right? Because he's so far away. For the Magnificent Sinclair, you got to get this close, and you only have it for like 10 seconds. You know what I mean? You don't have it for a very long time whatsoever. You can't store it like Silas in League. So I don't think the copy is broken. I think it's just good. That's why I'm putting the Magnificent Sinclair in the S tier for competitive, but in the A tier for regular Deadlock. Now, this Vexing Bolt and Rabbit Hex, though, is problematic. I think that it is a very extremely broken combo with the Spectral Assistant. It's very aid to deal with. I think this is going to get nerfed eventually, the damage. The damage is just so high that in some of the scrims we were playing versus Deathy's team yesterday in our first scrimmage with the patch, I mean, my teammates were saying that the impact from this Vexing Bolt and Assistant combo is just so much you're just getting one shot. I think one of our teammates had full barrier and they were one shot. But characters like Holiday and, you know, Vyper, there's just so many more broken things about them than just a one-shot combo. If you value that one-shot combo to be S-tier worthy in regards to this character on the tier list, sure, he can go there. I'm fine with this character going in S-tier, but for me, it's just an A. So let me know what you guys think, though. That's all I really have for the tier list today. Obviously, if you have different opinions, feel free to share it down below in the comments. And, yeah. So much love to you all, and I'll see you guys in the next video.